Hi, welcome to the Andrew Buckle book review of Eterno A Hero for All Time. This is Tom Tully, Tom Kerr, Francesco Solano Lopez and Colin Page. This is from Rebellion, part of their Treasury of British Comics. I love their series. They have just been in so many brilliant books, all these wonderful ones from the 60s and 70s, back again in these lovely collections. Now it does say this is a volume 1 of Eterno, so I assume there will be at some point a volume 2, assuming of course great number of sales, I'm certain. From the pages of thunder, it says there it is. That bit not very helpful. From the pages of thunder. So what's Eterno? Well, is this guy working as an assistant to a great alchemist, Erasmus Hemlock, great name, and who's created the elixir of life. Defying his master's orders, Adam greedily swallows the potion, but is caught in the act. Erasmus is enraged, he places a curse upon. I'm not certain how he places the curse or anything, there's no explanation for that, but basically gold can kill him and he's doomed to wander the labyrinths of time from the high seas of 1770 to the Western Front 1916. But it also goes to the modern time, 1970s that is of course, modern times, not. Actually no story where he goes into the future, which is weird. Maybe they did that later, I don't know. Maybe in volume 2 there's stories set in the future. At this point, most of them are set in the UK, but some are not. You got one here, obviously clearly this is in Africa. I always loved the bit where he goes into the scenes. He's like, this is the Boer War, and he knows all about it. Some sort of mysterious information gets fed into his brain because he goes back to like Viking periods or Roman periods. Then he just turns around and says, oh, this is the Roman period. Why would he know that? It's from the 16th century. That unlikely he would have known much about Roman period. A little bit, but not very much. Lots of what we know about the Roman period we know now. Anyway. Mere quibbles on that, but he does seem to I can hear the firing of guns in the distance. Destiny brings me to a land that I do not recognise, sort of thing. Of course he recognises it fairly quickly afterwards, and he seems to obviously always be able to speak the language or knows all the various things, so he doesn't get caught out with sort of the thing that gets me quite often. And there's some great bits. He always keeps blabbing that something can kill him, gold of course, and you think, really? I mean, if you don't want to be killed by something, you do not tell everyone, oh yes, I can only be killed by gold. Maybe just keep that stum on that one, because it does seems to be, but he doesn't. He's always mentioned it to all the villains. I think, new. But then again, of course, it just makes for the fun of the thing. I mean, you have to take it. But I like the fact that it goes backwards and forwards different periods. I mean, that's got like my favourite period, Roman period. I love the Roman period. He's got loads. It goes through the enemy trenches here. It's obviously the World War One. You've got here, I don't know where this one is. Oh, South American. Oh, this is South American state, and so on and so on. There's a load of different stories. So you've got the only one big problem with this, and it's obviously a big problem, is that there's no real support sort of group. Quite often in comics, the thing that's always good about comics is you get like the mother character, the father character, and all this sort of thing. But here you've got Eterno. He's bouncing around all the time. It's not like he's got a Dean Stockwell character to come around along with him. Now that would have been a good twist in the story. They should have introduced a sort of like some helper that was always there to sort of help things along. Would have made sort of some interaction. But he ends up generally just talking to himself. He's got his guns, and there's loads of great stories. Actually, they are really good stories generally, even though they're pretty predictable. You know how they're going to end because, of course, there's the next week. So it's not like he comes across as this massive bit, it's got covered in gold or something, but you know that there's going to be a twist. Like I say, he was never sure what he really wanted. I think that was another slightly annoying thing in this. He was 1 minute he was happy to, his curse would be ended. Then he wasn't. Then he was. Then he wasn't. I wasn't really sure after a while, and it really did slightly change. And it always does. I don't know why. Extras. You've got some extras here. So you've got some extras. And the annuals sort of really don't fit in with the rest of the stories. They're sort of like as if they're not part of the original comic. I always found that sometimes with annuals. You suddenly think it was near enough a different writer or a different artist was doing it. And they were sort of, there's a guy who's like Eternal. Just write a story. Don't worry about all the rest of the stuff that was connected with it. Though, of course, it's got connection with, but it's just odd. just odd that they got a completely different feel. This one especially. This one is just so weird. Adam Eterno. This one where he goes to Merlin. It's a Merlin story. The artwork's fine, but it's very different from but it's just odd. He goes into this massive, very strange. And there's a Francis Drake one. I suppose in many ways this is of course the thing with annuals. They always wanted to make it something slightly more special. Like that William Shakespeare or something turn up. Whereas in the average comic probably wouldn't do that. But here you've got Francis Drake in the story. So that's quite good. Though this one was a bit of an odd one. Adam Eterno, you got here, obviously the formless black shape seems to engulf. So you've got a little bit of colour there. And that's it. I think this is an absolutely lovely book. And there's some good stories. There's a few stories. Overall, I enjoyed it. And it was nice to recapture some of the old Adam Eterno stories. I do remember them quite well. I wouldn't say that I was a regular reader of Thunder and all those, but I picked them up occasionally. And it was nice to read these stories. And the historical elements are great. I guess you could also, once you've read these as a kid, you would go off and maybe think, you know what, find some book about South African various wars or sort of whatever, South America. You'd go and find out a little bit more. So it was a useful sort of thing. And this bit, of course, with ancient Pompeii. And there's all sort of references, of course, to Vesuvius, etc. So you've got the Thunder. That's about it for colour, really. Thunder Annual. And then you've got the usual collections of biographies, which are great. I love biographies at the back. It's always really nice. And, of course, it tells you all the various things. The depressing thing, of course, always when you look at this, you think, will we ever get to read some of these comics? Unless, of course, you go and buy some of the comics. But, I mean, School Friends, Girls Crystal, you've got Knockout, Valiant, TV21, Lady Penelope, the Eagle. I mean, they do turn up, these comics and things, but they're not so common, not so easy to find as they used to be. So, anyway, I love this. And this still obviously just come out, and there's the standard price, $12.99 there, rated teen, action adventure, Treasury British Comics, very worth checking out. So, Adam Eterno, a hero for all time.